असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्युर्मा अमृतं गमय শান্তি শান্তি শান্তি। নমস্কার। আজ অধ্যাপক অঞ্জলি সান্যাল এবং ভূপেন্দ্রনাথ ঘোষ স্মারক বক্তৃতা। শুরুতেই তাদের সম্পর্কে সামান্য কয়েকটি কথা। অধ্যাপিকা অঞ্জলি সান্যালের জন্ম 1932 খ্রিস্টাব্দে। তার জন্মের আগে তার 3টি শিশু ভাইয়ের মৃত্যু হয়। তার পিতা প্রফুল্ল কুমার স্যান্ডেল ও মাতা জ্যোৎস্না স্যান্ডেল খুব ধর্মপরায়ণ ছিলেন। শিশুকাল থেকে অঞ্জলি ধর্মপরায়ণা ছিলেন। পুজো অর্চনা তার নিত্য কাজের মধ্যে থাকত। পিতামাতার প্রতি কর্তব্য ও বাড়ির গুরুজনদের প্রতি শ্রদ্ধা তার ছোটবেলা থেকেই ছিল। ছোটবেলায় ইংরেজি স্কুলে পড়াশুনো করা সত্ত্বেও বাঙালি ঐতিহ্য ও সংস্কৃতিকে তিনি বিশেষভাবে প্রাধান্য দিতেন। তার 10 বছর বয়সকালে হঠাৎ ঘুমের ভিতর তিনি মা কালীর দর্শন পান। পিতামাতা তা জানতে পেরে তাঁদের গুরু তৎকালীন শ্রী রামকৃষ্ণ বেলুর মঠের প্রেসিডেন্ট শ্রীমৎ স্বামী বিরজানন্দজি মহারাজকে জানান এবং পূজ্যপাদ মহারাজজি ঠিক পরের দিনেই শিশুকন্যাটিকে দীক্ষা দেওয়ার জন্য নিয়ে আসতে বলেন। শ্রী শ্রী ঠাকুরের রসে বসে থাকো কথাটি তাঁর জীবনে ওতপ্রোতভাবে জড়িয়েছিল। তিনি ভাই বোন ও আত্মীয় স্বজন এবং বন্ধুবান্ধবদের প্রাণের অধিক ভালোবাসতেন এবং তাদের সঙ্গেই আনন্দে দিন কাটাতেন। পরোপকার করা তাঁর জীবনের ব্রত ছিল। পড়াশুনো শেষে তিনি খুব নির্ভীক ও দৃঢ় প্রতিজ্ঞ হয়ে গড়ে ওঠেন। শিক্ষাক্ষেত্রে যথেষ্ট আগ্রহ থাকায় আজীবন তিনি শিক্ষা জগতে কাটিয়েছেন। প্রথমে যাদবপুর বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ে অধ্যাপিকা ও পরে দীর্ঘ 30 বছর ঋষি বঙ্কিমচন্দ্র কলেজ নৈহাটিতে প্রাতঃবিভাগে প্রধানা হিসাবে কাজ করেন। উনি নিজের পরিবারবর্গের প্রতি অত্যন্ত কর্তব্যপরায়ণা ছিলেন এবং সেই কারণে বিবাহ করতে ইচ্ছুক হননি। সংসারে থেকেও ঈশ্বর চিন্তায় কাটিয়েছেন। পড়াশুনো করানোর মাঝেও তার প্রধান গন্তব্য ছিল গুরুস্থান দর্শন ও শ্রীরামকৃষ্ণ মিশনের বিভিন্ন কেন্দ্রে যাতায়াত। সাধু দর্শন ও সাধু সেবা তাঁর জীবনের প্রধান ব্রতগুলির মধ্যে অন্যতম। রামকৃষ্ণ মিশন ইনস্টিটিউট অব কালচার গোলপার্কে যাওয়া তার নিত্যদিনের কাজের মধ্যে ছিল। দেহ রাখবার 1 মাস আগে হঠাৎ বাড়িতে সাধু দর্শন হওয়ায় নিজেকে পরম ধন্য বলে মনে করেছিলেন। অসুস্থ অবস্থায় নার্সিংহোমের বিছানায় শুয়ে প্রতি সন্ধ্যায় রামকৃষ্ণ স্তব পাঠ করতে ভোলেননি। নার্সিংহোমের সিস্টারগণ তার স্তব পাঠ শুনতেন। জীবনে তার আয়ের বেশিরভাগ টাকাই তিনি সারা ভারতবর্ষের বিভিন্ন রামকৃষ্ণ মিশন কেন্দ্রের জন্য ব্যবস্থা করে শেষ বয়সে 5ই জানুয়ারি 2015 সালে রাত্রি 9টায় সজ্ঞানে শ্রী রামকৃষ্ণ লোকে যাত্রা করেন। ডক্টর P.K. স্যান্ডেল ও প্রফেসর গীতা মুখার্জির পৃষ্ঠপোষকতায় এই স্মারক বক্তৃতা আয়োজিত। ভূপেন্দ্রনাথ ঘোষের জন্ম 1900 সালে কলকাতায়। পিতা বিপিন বিহারী ঘোষ এবং মাতা জ্ঞানদাবালা ঘোষের দ্বিতীয় সন্তান ভূপেন্দ্রনাথ। তিনি গভীরভাবে ঈশ্বর বিশ্বাসী ছিলেন। মা কালীর পূজা করতেন এবং ভক্তিগীতিতেও তার সমান পারদর্শিতা ছিল। বাড়ির কাছে রামকৃষ্ণ মণ্ডপ নামে শ্রী শ্রী রামকৃষ্ণের একটি মন্দিরে একান্ত নিষ্ঠার সঙ্গে স্বেচ্ছাকর্মী রূপে তিনি কাজ করতেন। 1940 সালে ভূপেন্দ্রনাথ ঘোষ পরলোক গমন করেন। তাঁর কন্যা কলকাতার ভিক্টোরিয়া কলেজের অধ্যাপিকা ডক্টর সবিতা দাসের পৃষ্ঠপোষকতায় এই স্মারক বক্তৃতাটি আয়োজিত। আজ যুগ্মভাবে অধ্যাপিকা অঞ্জলি সান্যাল এবং ভূপেন্দ্রনাথ ঘোষ স্মারক বক্তৃতা প্রদান করবেন। শ্রীমৎ স্বামী যোগাত্মানন্দজি মহারাজ, মিনিস্টার ইনচার্জ বেদান্ত সোসাইটি অফ প্রভিডেন্স। মহারাজজির আলোচনার বিষয় আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ডিং সোমনাবুলিজম ফ্রম আ বেদান্তা পার্সপেক্টিভ। আমি পূজনীয় মহারাজজিকে অনুরোধ করি তিনি তার বক্তৃতা শুরু করুন।
ॐ ब्रह्ममेतु मां मधुमेतु मां ब्रह्ममेव मधुमेतु मां ब्रह्ममेधया मधुमेधया ब्रह्ममेव मधुमेधया ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ May the all-pervading conscious existence, Brahman, be realized by us. May the highest bliss be realized by us. May Brahman, who is also the highest bliss, be realized by us. May we realize Brahman with our purified understanding. May we realize the highest bliss with our purified understanding. May we realize Brahman, which is also the highest bliss, with our purified understanding. Om, peace, peace, peace. Revered Supernanandji and my dear Sumanasanandji, dear Bhima Maharaj, my dear Brahmacharis and Matajis here, and all the devotees and seekers of the ultimate truth, I feel very happy to discuss this topic with you. My thanks also to those two who have sponsored this lecture today, and my gratitude to them for that. The topic is a bit unusual. You won't find many Vedanta scholars or Vedanta Swamis giving talk on this topic. But I found it gives a great help for us as spiritual aspirants to understand this topic. It is not in a way easy, but not difficult also. The difficulty is only because we are so accustomed to identify ourselves with body. Once we can, cut that identification, then matters become very easy. It is the identification with body is the biggest obstacle for our spiritual progress. Spiritual means what actually in Sanskrit could be called Adhyatmika. Means there is a completely non-material self there, and who is all-pervading, because not contained with matter. It doesn't have a location, it doesn't have a particular this beginning or end, and that is the goal, that to experience this. And as the mantra that I chanted in the beginning, we have to get it. We have to get it, because we are all seekers of happiness. We all know this, that we want happiness, and therefore we make so many attempts to make our lives happy. We think that if I get this nice job that pays me a lot, that will make me happy. But if we observe people with having lot of money and so-called good job, look at their lives. Are they happy? And the answer will be no, because more money or more respect in society does not bring happiness. So we have to find the source of happiness, and that is the Brahman or Atman, the spirit. our true nature, that is the source of happiness. And to get it, an important thing is to know that I am not the body. And the difficulty lies there. This particular phenomena of walking in sleep or somnambulism is known for ages. But the neuroscience or psychiatry, they have found nothing that can be concretely presented as solution of this problem. In fact, what happens that in science there are superstitions of science and also cutting the corners, that what I cannot provide a solution, what I cannot really answer, I just try to poo-poo it away. That's not important. That's a rare thing. And well, it happens in childhood. You can call it as a dissociated I and so forth. No, friends, this is just attempt by these scientists, either psychiatrists or neuroscientists, to not have the courage to see this. A few psychiatrists that I met, very great, respectable exceptions to this, and they perfectly agreed that the Vedantic psychology alone provides the answer to this. It is because we are identified with bodies. Do you see? Like this piece of flesh, blood and so forth came to this place from Belur Math. But I say, I came to Institute of Culture because of the identification. I get identified with body. I know so many amongst you personally. How do I know them? Looking at their body. But are we really bodies? This question has to be asked penetratively. Am I body? It is. Let me tell you one story. Story means it was a fact told by one Swami, not from our order, that he was talking about it, and he was at the airport and he was going to Paris by Air France, and the counter person there said, "Oh, you Swamis, you talk about, we are not bodies and all that. What else we are? We are bodies." He said, "Let me prove you that we are not body right now. See, I have a return ticket from Mumbai to Paris and then come back. Now, make a thought experiment. I go there in Paris and I get a massive heart attack and die there. Now I have a confirmed return ticket. Can my body be flown into Bombay, Mumbai from Paris on that return ticket?" The clerk said, no, you cannot. You have to take another cargo ticket. So why not? I have got, if I am body, the body is still there. If I am just the body, then the body is still there. So it should have been allowed to come on that ticket. So he said, okay, see, Air France also knows that I am not the body. It is true, we sometimes, there is a lot of discussion in Vedanta about that what are we? This is one of the prime topics in Vedanta. Therefore, sometimes Vedanta is called Atma Vidya, analysis of who really I am. It is a very important question philosophically as well. As many of you are aware that Socrates, that was his last instruction before he drank that poison hemlock and died, that know thyself. Because all the problems get solved only by that, know thyself. So Vedanta begins with that, and the first thing is that I am not the body. This is as considered in, there are various ways that the Vedanta books present it. One is that, look, that these are 5 sheets, panchakoshas, 5 sheets. This is just the sheet, one sheet. This is spoken of in Bhagavad Gita also, that these are just like clothing, clothing. You have some outer clothing and you may have an inner clothing. This is a little still inner clothing, that's all. But it is clothing. The body is just a clothing. And therefore Sri Krishna tells Arjuna, don't worry, it is the change, this clothing that is going away. Vasansi jirani yatha vihaya navani grihnati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani sanyati navani dehi. That just as when a torn and worn out garment is discarded, substituted by a new one, so also the body, when it is through wear and tear, becomes no more usable, the one who is holding it gets another body. What I try to point out here, that to get to the bottom of this question, one has to have this understanding, and it should develop into conviction. Only superficial understanding is not enough. You all have studied Vedanta, I suppose. But superficially understanding and plattering about it, that is not going to be enough. There has to be a strong conviction that I am actually not this body. There are several proofs that if you want you can get. For example, when you go to sleep, you actually, just as with very heavy clothes, it is difficult to sleep, and this is the heaviest coat, body. Without the body is, say, unbuttoned, just to use a familiar term, we cannot sleep. So, we know then that we are not the body, but we forget it, that's all. When we sleep or even when we dream, it is, this body is taken out, as it were put on a hanger, and when we need it again, we put it on. So it is like that. The body is not I. Now when we know this, then the matters become simpler to know about sleepwalking. Many psychologists and psychiatrists, they said, oh, don't worry about it. Because by no physical means you can demonstrate anything beyond body. It is impossible, and that is the self-imposed, I would say, self-imposed limitation of physical science, or what we normally just call science. That whatever can be measured through senses, that alone is true. That which is not measurable by senses, forget about that. That is not science. You may say that it is not science, but the main important thing is you cannot discard the facts. The facts are there. If you want to just discard the facts, then you are not a scientist at all. The theorization of facts is another thing. But you cannot say these facts are not there just because we don't have an explanation for that. So one has to see these things. A physical science has its very, very clear limitations. That which cannot be measured. Swami Yogatmananda has, in his introduction to Raj Yoga, has presented these limitations. That look, that you measure by physical means, but there is phenomena, there are facts that do not subject to that kind of measurement. So it will require other tools to probe that, and that is stepping beyond the boundaries of physical science. So therefore it is very important to see this phenomena, understand it from that point of view, and then that will open up. See, if we actually have this experience that I am not body, imagine how much freedom you will experience, how much freedom one will feel. What does it mean that if I am not body? That means I have no birth, I have no death. It is only the body has birth and death. If I am not body, I am neither born nor am I going to die. Do you agree? If I am not body, then I am not bound by the gender either. The gender is also connected with body. I am a male or a female or some other gender. These days somebody was telling me they have identified 27 different types of genders. Forget it, but what I mean is that there is, when all of them are connected with body. If I am not body, then I am not bound by the gender either. See how much freedom you get. Further, I don't have, I am neither rich nor poor. It is because they are also related to body. So I am neither rich nor poor. I am not bound by that. I am not bound by a location. I do not have to worry whether I have visa of this country or not. It is only the body that requires visa. So I become so free when I know that I am not the body. And then, if I am not this body, then I can use any other body also. It is, see, this possibility which is this at the center of this somnambulism, sleepwalking. If you look at that phenomena, it is not just something happening unconsciously or non-deliberately. That person who walks in sleep or moves in sleep, the movements are very deliberate, conscious, and many of them are very complex. The person drives a car. It itself is a complex movement that has to open the car, use the key, start the car, drive in the proper gear, stop whenever there is the lights, that street lights, traffic lights, that person follows them perfectly. Comes back to on the track, and so it is not some just dissociated movements, but they are deliberate movements. Remember this about the somnambulism. Such cases, of course, are not so many to be found, not plenty, but lot of scientific work actually has happened through some exceptional, very few such events which opened the door for further scientific progress. For example, those who study atomic physics and history of it, they will see how Rutherford came to the first Rutherford model of how the atom looks. He presented it at this one conference, physics conference, saying that now I know how an atom looks. There are difficulties to accept this model, but they can be tackled later. But I know how the atom looks. And what gave rise to this kind of model? He was experimenting by bombarding alpha particles on a very thin gold foil. A thin gold foil being bombarded by alpha particles, and almost all alpha particles just went through. Some were scattered a bit, but his attention was drawn by some of them, very few, which were thrown right back at the alpha particle gun, thrown right back. It was a very strange phenomena. It is comparatively, you can see it is like that if you have a thin butter paper and if you fire a huge cannonball to it, how much will be your surprise that butter paper is throwing that cannonball back to you. He saw it is something like that. For that gold foil, those alpha particles were like cannonballs. And some of them, very few of course, most of them passed through. And so that gave him these very few such particles being thrown back, gave him the hint that the atom is mostly empty, and inside there is something that repels the positive charge. So it is a positive charge at the center and a kind of a cloud of negative charge around, and so whenever the alpha particle hits that positive charge, there is the repulsion and it gets thrown back. That gave him, what I mean here is I am not going to give lecture on that whole thing, but see the importance of some very few things. They are unusual, but they lead to very important discoveries. So this somnambulism, although is a rare phenomena, most 99% or more, 99.9% people do not have it. And therefore many dismiss it. One psychologist I know, she just, no, Swami, forget, don't worry about that. This happens only in early childhood and one gets over that. But that also is important. And the importance, how does one understand it? Let me tell you a personal experience. When I used to be in Nagpur, we had an employee, a young boy, who was staying with another employee at our ashrama. And both of them were working very nicely. We loved them. And then one of them said, this my roommate, he suddenly goes out at night, almost every night. And after a couple of hours comes back. And when he wakes up in the morning, he has absolutely no memory of it. And normally, who is waking up at 1 a.m.? So the roommate also didn't understand or observe it always. So, but when he would question, hey, where were you? Where did you go at night? I didn't go anywhere. That was the answer. And he was not lying, that he was telling the truth. He didn't know anything about it. He was sleepwalking. It was seen how much complex that movement was. He had to open the 3 locked gates. So it is not just something, exact key is to be used. And then he would go out, come back, again lock all those 3 gates. And they decided to make some experiment. If he is not somehow changed the lock, imagine now, this man goes to bed thinking that everything, nobody is thinking about it, he goes to bed. And then, in the middle of night, I am not making any Alfred Hitchcock movie, it is, but something, in the middle of the night, tries to open, doesn't get opened. Became so disturbed, very upset and angry. And next morning, he still carried. Otherwise, he was a very good worker, but he carried that disturbance, was a bit irritable and so forth. So I started thinking about this, that how this is happening. And the solution is understanding that separation of body from this subtle body, causal body and I. Let me quickly describe you about this, how we have a 3-fold body, 3-layered body. This outer one, the food sheath, is called gross body, which is born and dies and all that. But associated with that, and what makes it move, what makes it do work, is this subtle body. It is easier to explain that. The gross body is hardware, subtle body is like software. Just to give analogy. Without software, the hardware has no meaning, doesn't work at all. So, it is, and as per the software, the hardware works. It is true. So, what happens? This same machine, you use computers these days, that is why I said it is easy to explain it. You use computer, and maybe that somebody else also is using this same computer, is putting on some other software on it. That also is possible. And so, something else that computer is producing, and this software is not aware of it at all. The user of this is not aware of it. It is, let me give you a still simpler example. Like somebody is using, the cars are there. Now, somebody uses somebody else's car. Now we identify many times that the car and the driver must be with the car. Many times it happened that many of you who have come to Providence, our center there used to be one wonderful, very service temperamental lady, Joan, very old. And then she had a car. And she would lend the car to anybody more or less. That, like one lady told, I want to go to Boston. Is your car available? Oh yes, take it. So once she gave the car to somebody, and then there was a call, somebody was calling, I want to talk to Joan, is she there? I said, let me peep out and see. And the car was not there. I said, her car is not there. So she is not there. I was so wrong. She was very much there. The car was taken by somebody else. What I am pointing out to this, that this so-called body, when we are not using it, can somebody else not use it? And then that one who took it, drove it nicely and brought it back. And in fact, the criminals, they use this quite often to hoodwink the police. They first steal the car, and with that stolen car, commit some bigger crime, leave the car deliberately there so that the blame goes to the owner of that car. So, somebody takes up the body of somebody else and uses it. Sometimes it is like shared. In Kolkata, I am sure, this is in New York, Mumbai, all places, the taxis are used, but one uses it in the daytime, another uses it at the night time, so that the expenses get shared. Anyway, it is difficult for anybody to keep on driving it all 24 hours. So, okay, I will use it during the daytime, you use it for the night time. Now the car is the same. User is different. So also with this car called body, it could be like that. It is actually like that. Somebody else is taking it for a ride. The pun intended, It is you are taken for a ride, as it were. That what you didn't do, but your body did. Your body did it. So it is a phenomena where our gross body is used by somebody else's subtle causal body. So that is how the person is not aware of what is happening. Like somebody took the car, the one who owns the car doesn't know what happened, where that fellow went. I don't know, I never asked. Like the taxis, this daytime owner doesn't know. The daytime driver doesn't know where the nighttime driver is taking the passengers. So, but this is how both of them are using it. It doesn't become a pathology or a disease till there comes a conflict. That otherwise it is a good arrangement. Yes, you share the expenses, like you have, many have the subtenants. That you have you rented the house, but you want that if somebody shares, the rent will get divided between two of us. So it is like that. As long as the arrangement is going on well, and nobody questions. Some time back, it's a humorous thing, but let me tell you that one devotee was very busy with taking care of her ailing old husband, and so was used to come for the programs, but immediately leave, wouldn't stay for the night, because I have to take care of my husband. The husband passed away, but now she first said that I'll be able to come more often now. But again, once she said again, no, I have to go. Why? Oh, now I have got a cat. Sri Ramakrishna that gave that example, that an old widow then has nothing to do, could spend time in thinking of God, meditating on God, but no, will get a cat and will get busy with that cat. So she, because this is an attraction, a kind of, necessity in a way for having a companion, but she said it very nicely. I said, what, the cat? Swami, I needed some help with my rent, so I kept a cat. As if the cat was going to pay the rent. So, now, this arrangement is very good if there is no conflict. If the conflict is there, then it becomes a pathology, a sickness. The person becomes sick. Like that, our employee who was prevented from going out would become very irritated, because probably he has made arrangement that at night you can use this body, and during the day I will use. At night I don't use it anyway, so you can use it, no problem. But that fellow was not allowed to use that, and so you see, this is how this phenomena has resulted in many legal cases, and there had been acquittal of the one who was charged with murder. It is that because the psychiatrist attending on that person testified in the court that he is walking, he walks in sleep, he moves in sleep. The case was like the man drove and murdered somebody, happened to be his mother-in-law. But there was no motive found. Why should he murder her? Moreover, he didn't try to run away. So then the case was naturally, the fellow was convicted initially by the jury and was given those days, it was their death penalty. That you have murdered your mother-in-law, a heinous crime, and so you would be given death penalty. But in the appeal, this person brought his psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist gave a lot of this documental evidence to show that this person is taking medication for somnambulism. So, and on the basis of that, the person was acquitted, but this could happen again, so was put in the prison. That because again if the fellow goes and murders somebody and gives the plea that it is, well, I was walking in sleep, it would be difficult. So, therefore, this was, but many such, about a dozen legal cases are there. You can see them on Google, that so many cases where this plea was made by the defendant's lawyer, that look, this person was having this sleepwalking. It is long back that Robert Louis Stevenson, a great novelist, had written a novel, very famous novel. It has many psychological angles, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Many of you must have read this wonderful novel. The same person was manifesting, only there the physical features also were changing. So, where is that Mr. Hyde would commit some crime and people would be, police would be there to search. Nowhere to be found that Dr. Jekyll, a very respectable person, is there. So, where is Hyde? The novel progresses and comes to a bitter end, but I am not going to discuss everything about it. But this is an important thing, that our body can be used by somebody else also, unless we keep it in tight lock and key. Do not share it with anybody. And how we will not be not required to share it with anybody is if we are not paying, we are not getting money for it. Then only we can have it for ourselves. If I am the lone person who is paying for this body, this house or car, whatever you may say, then there won't be any other intruder. It is in a way not easy because we are habituated to share this body with somebody. You will notice, that it is a person is very spiritual sometimes, very, having those honest spiritual tendencies manifesting, likes to meditate, likes to practice devotion, likes to help others, that person is loved by everyone for that. But at other times, you see a complete, change of polarity, as it were. That person is very worldly person, runs after money, is not having the same spiritual or devotional temperament. Why? Why should it be like that? Well, the same gross body is getting used by some other subtle body and causal body. That is how it can be explained. There is, since there is not a conflict between the two, there is no pathology, no disease is seen. Oh, this person, we all are like that, our moods change. This is a very good way of explaining away. Our moods change. Sometimes the mood is very spiritual. Sometimes, the moods are different. This person is very nicely behaving, but suddenly, I don't know what happens, becomes a quarrelsome person. And it is so, it is because there is somebody else, as it were, who is using the same apparatus. You don't worry, you don't find it very annoying in library or many public places. The computer is being used by, same one computer is being used by several people. Even here also in this great Institute of Culture, there may be many computers which are for public use or use of many operators. So it is like that this hardware can be used by many. There is nothing strange about it. And you may say, how to prevent it? It is Swami Yatishwarananda ji in that great treatise, Meditation and Spiritual Life, has given some tips that how even when you are sleeping, your meditation would go on. Your repetition of mantra will still keep on happening even during the sleep. So there then somebody else will not get an opportunity to use it. It can be specially given to use to some saintly person, that that saintly person is using this body, so even after that saintly person is not using, there will be some impressions left which will be useful for people like us. Some remnants would be there. So this is how it is so important, friends, that we take care. This is a window. Somnambulism, when it comes to a pathological level, it becomes apparent, people notice it. But otherwise also one can say that there are, as it were, different personalities. I am using the word for just simplicity. Different people, as it were, are using this body. And therefore, when it becomes, very difficult to manage, we say that the person is bipolar. There is no explanation in neither in neuroscience nor in psychology for this. Therefore, unless you can diagnose it, find the cause, the treatment is just symptomatic, and that's about it. So, empirical treatment. A lot of medical science works on empirical treatment. They say also openly, this is an empirical science. So all physical sciences are empirical friends. By the virtue of this fact that they are discussing about the world, they are trying to find the world, nature of the world, which is changing. Since the world is changing, how could your conclusions about that world will be permanent? There was one scientist towards the end of beginning of the early 19th century, early 20th century, James Jeans. James Jeans has written many books about this. He was a physicist, and he said all that we do in science is what? Measuring the shadows. The shadows, because the shadows, if you try to measure the shadow of a tree in the morning, it will be a very long shadow, and you measure it accurately using all that tools and come up with the answer that that shadow is 17 meters, these many centimeters and these many millimeters. Now the sun rises, the shadow becomes short. First this fellow got a Nobel Prize for measuring this shadow. The other doubts, how can it be? It doesn't look like 17 meters or something. They made some mistake. So again measures. And now the sun has risen, so gone up, so the shadow is shrunk. Oh, those olden time scientists, they didn't know. This is not 17 feet, this is just 10 feet. And so that old research is to be abandoned, to be kicked out. And so this new research, is like that. And there is a very nice book, many of you might have read, the great physicist that wrote that History of Time, Stephen Hawking. Thank you, Maharaj. So Stephen Hawking, he, in the first few pages, he said, to show the nature of our science, he said, I have a bet with my friend that black holes do not exist. Black holes do not exist. I have put a bet. Why? Because I have done a lot of research. My very valuable research is on black holes. But then in future, somebody proves that the black holes never existed. A scientist has to acknowledge this. The science changes. It is empirical. And so, this is like my insurance policy of my research. That the black holes, if they don't exist, I at least will have the satisfaction of winning the bet, isn't it? So I am winning the bet. If black holes are not existent at all, then I have won the bet. So it is like that. This idea, therefore, of the spiritual science, which is about unchanging reality. It is about that, our true nature, and that leads us to ultimate freedom and the greatest bliss that one can think of. So I conclude here and thanking Swami Suparanandaji and all other Swamis and revered nuns and all the friends who have been listening to this somewhat abstruse, difficult topic with attention. Thank you very much. Bye.
Dear Rajiv, your speech has been not only interesting, inviting, and also giving us a very concrete example of how we can make use of our body. Now, generally, the students of Vedanta, they distinguish between the things we have and the thing we are. And whenever we try to find out what things we do have, we go on listing them. And mind that all these things that we have, like houses, my ears, including my body, these are to be hijacked. If people want, they can hijack it. We will have to stand to lose all these things. But the thing that we are, which is, of course, our real self. First, it may appear our bodies, but bodies we have. We can make use of it. And in the body, we have so many parts. These are also could be used and could be lost, could be regained, subject to changes. But beyond body is mind and intellect that we segregate very easily from our body. Because in sleep, we come out of our bodies in mind and intellect. There we identify ourselves with intellect and mind. But these are also not that much important for us because we have a mind, we have an intellect. This could be even sold out and to be dispensed with. So beyond that, when we go to deep sleep, we are one with our own self. There being no consciousness of body, mind or intellect. That we know. And Maharaj has poignantly infused this idea into our minds that whatever things you have, there is a possibility that this could be stolen, could be used by some others. Like my eyes. It can be used also for others. But the whole body, even that. And there are situations. And he categorically pointed out some of the situations from the empirical studies that he made, that it is a possibility. And maybe many of us might have an experience of that. That we are unknowingly doing that, but not being so much conscious about it. This may happen. And I was thinking while listening to him, one situation, suppose in dream, I see my own body lying there. In dream, I may see my own body lying there. Usually, Swamiji says that when we see our body, we do not see our mind. When we see our mind, we do not see our soul or self. That is our real nature. But when we see our own body lying there, dead, and my relatives are expressing their grief through their tears, what do I feel? What do I feel? That at least I have a body. I have a body. I am not body. I can come out of my body at my will. Every day we have been experiencing that because we do dream. And if during that time, if somebody else could use that body, I have no idea. So somebody may just erase my body from that position to keep it somewhere else. And when I get up from dream, I see that I am living somewhere else. How is it? Even that may be a possibility. Anyway, he has opened up a new vista to our senses, our thought pattern, thought process. Try to find out the real in us. Real in us. Let our body not be allowed to be used by others. And there are some grave consequences also he referred to, that if I do not know, while sleeping I was walking also, if I could not know, then whatever I do unknowingly, I cannot be held responsible for that, even by the law, even by the court. That's a very interesting thing. And for that you have to call your psychiatrist, your doctor. That is very, very important for us. That somebody else, as he stressed it poignantly, that somebody else could use. Even I was there in my body, I am not conscious of it. I have been reminded of the story of Sri Krishna being carried to the house of Nanda by Vasudeva. You know. And when they came back, they forgot all about the incident. They were all mesmerized to carry the lad, the newborn lad, and such a great distance. Vasudeva had to travel and come back. Even whatever they saw in vision, they all forgot. Now, who would be held responsible for this? Who is the witness? Yes. His body was not the witness, his mind even not that. That witness, the supreme witness, consciousness, Chaitanya. So somebody else can make use of our entire being also, the super consciousness of the Paramatman even. That is a good aspect of discussion also. Anyway, this is not the time to expound all these things. I simply stand over here to express our gratitude and thankfulness to Rajiv Bhai means Yogatmananda ji of Providence. He has kindly agreed to come and speak on this particular topic, about which our knowledge has been the minimal, so to say. I thank you again for making us conscious of this aspect of our existence. Thank you. Thank you all also.